Can everybody hear me?
Yeah.
Thank you. Parade Commander?
Praise! Attention! Praise! Stand east! Stand easy.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Second Lieutenant Matthew McHugh, and I would like to welcome you this morning on behalf of the 20th Independent Field Battery and the Lethbridge Remembrance Day Committee. It is an honor and a privilege to be your MC today. Thank you for being here. Before we begin this morning's program, I would like to ask that you please ensure your cell phones are turned off or on mute. Thank you. To start our program, and in the spirit of reconciliation, the members of the Lethbridge Remembrance Day Committee and the Canadian Armed Forces acknowledge that we are on the traditional territories of the Indigenous peoples of the Treaty 7 region in the Métis Nation of Alberta, Region 3. We respect the histories, languages, and cultures of First Nations, Métis, Inuit, and all First Peoples of Canada, whose presence continues to enrich our community. We thank you for being here today. I would also like to mention that today's ceremony will be conducted primarily by members of the 20th Independent Field Battery. Because there are two concurrent ceremonies this year again, most of our veterans, dignitaries, and youth are at the exhibition park for the indoor ceremony. Also today we are expecting a flyover, and hopefully the wind cooperates so that we can get one. With that said, I would like to welcome all of you here today in front of the Cenotaph. And we thank you for being here to remember those who gave the ultimate sacrifice for their freedom. There were many soldiers who did not return from war, and today we are here to remember them. We are also here to remember the veterans who did return, who may or may not be with us today. There are two main symbols that we associate with Remembrance Day: the poppy and the cenotaph. The poppy, which we wear in November, is a symbol made popular by the famous poem In Flanders Fields, written by Lieutenant Colonel John McCrae. John McCrae was a gunner in the Royal Canadian Artillery, as are many of the soldiers and veterans of our unit who are here today. In April 1915, John McCrae was in the trenches near Ypres, Belgium. The day before he wrote his famous poem, one of McCrae's closest friends was killed in the fighting and buried in a makeshift grave with a simple wooden cross. Wild poppies were already beginning to bloom between the crosses marking the many graves. Unable to help his friend or any of the others who had died, John McCrae gave them a voice through his poem. McCrae's poem, In Flanders Fields, resulted in the remembrance poppy becoming one of the world's most recognized memorial symbols for soldiers who have died in conflict. Initially, Remembrance Day was called Poppy Day, as the poppy became a symbol of remembrance and hope, including a hope for a positive future and a peaceful world. We thank you for wearing a poppy today. And today at this ceremony, we will read the poem In Flanders Fields as the benediction, as our blessing. John McCrae died on January 28, 1918. Like so many soldiers, he did not come home. He is buried in France. This leads us to our second symbol of Remembrance Day, the Cenotaph. A cenotaph is a monument erected in honor of a person or group of people whose remains are elsewhere. Following the First World War, most Canadian families were unable to travel to places like France, and so cenotaphs, like ours here in Lethbridge, were built across Canada in towns and cities to commemorate the over 53,000 vigil. This tradition dates back to early societies when a warrior would be buried with his sword, shield, and other important possessions. 4 knights would then stand guard at the corners of the coffin to safeguard these possessions and the body until funeral rites could be completed. For many Canadian families, no funeral rites could be completed for their loved ones lost on the battlefields of the First World War. So, each year, on Remembrance Day, we gather in front of the cenotaph to stand guard for our lost warriors whose funeral rites were never completed. On November 11th, 1918, the armistice was signed to end what was known as the War to End All Wars. Since that day, many Allied countries have recognized the sacrifices made by their veterans in that war and all wars since then by observing a symbolic ceremony in front of the cenotaph, which involves the last post, 2 minutes of silence, the lament, and the ruse. The last post is played to summon the spirit of the fallen to the cenotaph. It was originally played to signal the soldiers that the camp was secure for the night. It was also played to call out to wounded or separated soldiers at the end of battle in order to guide them home to safety and rest. Today, it signifies that a soldier's last sentry duty is finished. He or she has died, and we are calling home the fallen and their spirits to rest. The 2 minutes of silence are observed each year on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month. Canadians across the country and people around the world pause for these 2 minutes of silence to honor, thank, and remember our fallen. The first minute of silence is for those who died in the war. The second minute of silence is for those left behind who were deeply affected by the conflict. This sacred moment of silence also symbolizes all of us as a nation, as Canadians, standing as sentry in silence so our fallen soldiers may rest for those 2 minutes. The lament is played by the bagpiper. It is an expression of grief and mourning. Historically, it symbolizes the sounds of spouses and children crying over their dead. Today, it symbolizes our collective sorrow. The ruse, or reveille, is played following the lament. The ruse was originally used to wake up soldiers each morning. In this ceremony, the ruse is used to wake our fallen soldiers from death and help them rise above their mortal duties on earth so they may rest in peace. We will now start our vigil ceremony. Vigil commander, out! Vigil!
Pray. Attention. Mount. fasten your arms. Reverse.
I would now like to invite Sarah Folden to sing O Canada.
O Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all of us command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north, strong and free. From far and wide, O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Trumpeter, last post.
Trumpeter, LaRouche.
I will now read the Act of Remembrance. They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them. We will remember them.
Great. Stand in. Stand easy.
I would now like to invite our Honorary Lieutenant Colonel Dory Rossiter to lay a wreath on behalf of all of the citizens of Lethbridge. Ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. I would now like to invite our unit padre, Captain Luke Watson, to read the benediction in Flanders Fields.
In Flanders fields the poppies blow, between the crosses row on row that mark our place. And in the sky the larks still bravely singing fly, scarce heard amidst the guns below. We are the dead. Short days ago we lived, felt dawn, saw sunset glow, loved and were loved, and now we lie in Flanders fields. Take up our quarrel with the foe, and to you from falling hands we throw the torch. Be yours to hold it high. If we break faith with us who die, we shall not sleep, though poppies grow in Flanders fields.
Thank you, Padre. I would now like to invite our commanding officer, Major Robert Meehan, to say a few words on behalf of the 20th Independent Field Battery. Sir?
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for coming and participating in the service. Your duties as a citizen is the same as the duties of our soldiers, and that is that we must remember. That's our solemn promise. And when you show up today, I think it's that extra effort of remembrance. Now the question is sometimes asked, well, what do we do after the service? What's our attitude to be like? How should we behave? Is it like a funeral? And look at all the names there on that cenotaph. What would they want you to do for the rest of the day? They were soldiers. I absolutely guarantee they would want me to put a drink back, have a little fun, enjoy your time with your family. Enjoy the celebration of life that comes when people give you something and give you your freedom and give you your opportunity to live the life that you wish to live. The sacrifice of those that fell and all those that served was to give you the opportunity to live a great life. And that's really what I think today is about. The solemn service of remembrance, and then having a great life and being grateful with a thankful heart for all that's been done. Now, I noticed the wind is blowing, and you all know Dory Rossiter. She is our weather woman, and she has absolutely promised we'd have good weather up to this point. So I shall not talk any longer because I see the wind is already going to play havoc. I would encourage you all now to, if you can, head down to the Army Navy Club. If you're a veteran or a member of the Legion, go to the Legion, but you're absolutely welcome to come down to the Armories, which is at right by the airport. There we have a military museum that's open for free to the public. Our messes will be open as well. You can come and share a drink with our soldiers. We'd love to see you out there today. You are all welcome. So please make your way there if you should choose. Thank you again for coming and participating in your solemn act of remembrance.
Thank you, sir. I would now like to invite Sarah Folden to sing the royal anthem, God Save the King.
Ready. Attention.
God save our gracious King, long live our noble King. God save the King. Send him victorious, happy and glorious, long to reign over us. God save the King.
Ready. Stand in. Stand in.
Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our formal ceremony today. Once again, we thank you very much for attending this morning's ceremony. I'd like to thank Sarah Folden for singing, Ken Lewis for playing the trumpet, and our piper, John Gray, for all being here today, and all the volunteers who make today possible, such as Don Platel with the Chevelles for providing our sound system, and Jeffrey Brain for the flyover. If you are looking for a few activities today to pay respect to our veterans, I would like to invite all of you to the Lethbridge Military Museum, as our commanding officer mentioned. It's open today from 12 p.m. till 4 p.m. Admission is free and all are welcome. The museum is located at the Vimmery Armory, which is located right next to the airport. I also invite you to explore the banners that hang here today on Veterans Avenue. From October 1st to November 12th, these banners hang throughout the city. The newest banner is that of Ron Jacobson, who passed away last month. He was a former commanding officer of our unit and the Colonel Commandant of the Royal Canadian Artillery. If you have a veteran connection to Lethbridge and are interested in supporting this initiative, please go to lethbridgebanners.ca. And finally, at Mountain View Cemetery, the one located on Scenic Drive, there's 4 lots dedicated to the men and women from our community who served Canada. These fields of honor are marked with full-size Canadian flags, and many of the headstones are marked with smaller Canadian flags, which have been placed there by our local cadets. Once again, we invite you to explore the cemetery, the street banners, the military museum, and to learn more about our men and women who served our community. And we thank you for being here today. I'm just going to dismount the vigil, and then you're welcome to come up to the Cenotaph and pay your respects. Thank you. Vigil commander, dismount, vigil.
Ready. Attention.
Mr. Bunny, present arms. Ready. Shoulder. Arms. Inward. Face. Mr. Bunny, quick. March.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Have a great day.